If you asked me many years ago if Pokemon starters mattered, I would have told you yes. But now that question seems to get more blurry as the games progress. Because even if you don't use your starter, you can still technically do just as well as someone who does have a starter. But it goes much deeper than that. What makes me question the importance of Pokemon starters is because of the Pokemon you encounter right after you unlock the ability to catch Pokemon to be on your team. And there are quite some strong Pokemon that are enough to be trained to be your main Pokemon if you wanted to. A key example on the top of my head is Shinx off the bat in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl and in the remakes. If we compare Shinx to, let's say, Piplup, the base stats are pretty similar, with Shinx being lower in special attack and special defense, but if we look at the general attack and HP, Shinx is at 45 for HP and 65 for attack, which is the same attack stat that Totodile has as a base stat. Though he's not in Gen 4, but you get the point. Meanwhile, Piplup only has a 51 attack and 53 HP with a drastically low speed at 40. So it is possible for you to put your starter inside the PC and perhaps forget about it for a while. And yeah, that's if you want to bump up Shinx a couple levels before you actually go out there and fight the first gym leader. Speaking of gyms, that first gym leader is Oreburgh, which is a rock type gym, and electric moves deal neutral damage. Though I wouldn't worry about this too much because you can breeze through that gym with ease, and the first gym doesn't really put up a fight. They're just there as an experience for the person playing the game and generally is there to show the trainers how gyms really work. While we are on the topic of Diamond and Pearl, I think I should mention that you can hatch a Riolu when you go to the Iron Island and speak with Riley. Though you have to do a couple battles with a couple of gym leaders and be pretty advanced in the game to get this Pokemon, but it's worth it since Riolu is basically a pseudo-legendary. Now that we know there are many options in the wild to capture to replace your starter right off the jump, there are other reasons why someone might just ditch their starter. Once you get past the first few routes, the doors open up to the typings you can find that are similar to your starters. Let's say you pick a grass starter. Most of us knew it would be handy to go out in the wild and find us some sort of fire and water type. So what would stop us from getting a grass type as well? What I'm trying to say here is that the elemental triangle gap can be filled pretty fast in every single generation. So just get 2 typings you're missing from the elemental triangle and you're ready to go. And an example of this is in Gen 5. You can get one of the 3 elemental monkeys for free from a person in the Dream Yard located after the first city gym. And the other 2 can be found in Pinwheel Forest or Lost Lorn Forest. Even though it has a low spawn rate because it only spawns in the shaking grass, it is pretty doable. Now that we're done talking about the other Pokemon you can get in the wild, it's time to talk about the big foot standing in the room, and that is trading. I'm a big fan of trading and wonder trading, but when I first started to trade in Scarlet and Violet, I got a ton of starters, to the point that I ended up stacking up boxes worth of starters and especially Charmanders. I'm guessing people are either botting or sending these Pokemon from Pokemon Go through Pokemon Home and then trading them in game. And yeah, it's safe to say that my team was full of starters. I had a Froakie, Chimchar, alongside my Sprigatito that also I got from wonder trading with my original starter that I actually chose, Fuecoco. So it's safe to say that the scarcity factor is over. Although you could decide not to trade and not get these starters, which is understandable. The next reason on why some people just get rid of their Pokemon starter and put it in the PC, some even releasing it, is because the game is just too easy with these starters. I have surfed the internet for a while, and this was majority of the people's main points when discussing this online. They just thought the game was too easy because the starters are essentially built for that. They have their stats a little bit buffed and give you that clear boost. And it's kind of understandable why people get rid of their Pokemon. Many of us played our first Pokemon game when we were children, and it was kind of a breeze since we would over level our starter a lot. Now, I'm going to say how I truly feel about all of this. And in my opinion, I firmly believe, yes, that Pokemon starters do matter still and are important more than ever. I feel like if you don't trade and get multiple starters, that single one-on-one personal starter you get is like no other Pokemon in the game and can't even compare to the legendary, because the legendary isn't with you from the very start. You only get that one Pokemon, and the opportunity cost of getting that Pokemon starter is losing out on the other two starters you could have got, and in my opinion, that adds towards the sentimental value we end up having for that starter we pick. To simplify this even further is that I used to pick Oshawott, and while doing that, I would give up the option for picking Tepig and Snivy, meaning that I am willing to have Oshawott as my starter over those two. So we better hurry up, start bonding, and start battling. It's truly the first ever choice you even get to make in the game by yourself, and you stick with that choice, which means there is no going back unless you restart the game. And I feel that in itself is such a special moment. And I think that's why most of us complete Pokemon games and don't leave our handheld device in some place collecting dust. Because we get attached to these Pokemon starters and want to win the game with them. And this is something Game Freak designed on purpose and not by accident. This type of attachment personally makes me not want to put my Pokemon inside the PC, because they have been with me from the very start, before the first gym leader and before I could ever catch another Pokemon to put on the team. So getting that starter and nicknaming it is a symbolic start to a Pokemon trainer's journey, one where you always begin with a Pokemon starter. So I say it's best to keep your starters on your team, and in my opinion, they do still matter. And the very best part is you can acquire all of those wild Pokemon on routes early on to have a solid team built around your starter, and that will help you out when you advance through the game. I even did a recent poll and asked you guys if you would keep your Pokemon starter on your team, and majority of you guys said yes. Stone Silker said if he were to take it off the team, he'd feel guilty, and Ninja Crafter said there wouldn't be much reason to switch out his Pokemon starter. So I think there's a large consensus that keeping the Pokemon starter on the team is for sure the option and the way to go. And that's it from me. I just want to ask you guys to please subscribe, as it is my goal to be a full-time YouTuber. The animation with lip syncing takes a lot of time, so it would mean a lot if you ended up subscribing. As always, thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch my videos. Bye for now.